Good morning, everybody. Well, I should say good afternoon. We have a very wet, nasty problem here. All right. Now I'm gonna try to show you all this without slipping in the mud and hopefully without dropping my phone in the mud. All right. Let me walk over here and show you this. This is a big problem you got to watch out for if you're leasing land, if you own land, if you've got any land with water and culverts. Where we're at, we have to control a lot of water. So right here you can see where the creek had actually moved along to the side there and started shoving water in there. And all of this was actually stopped up. There was a whole tree stuffed inside of there. Now we just recently cleaned this out, but I want to tell you what happened. Last summer we had an unusually dry summer. It was a pretty good drought. And this whole area had actually started to grow over. And it's kind of my own fault. I didn't catch it. There's just so many places to catch. I just didn't catch it. But it started to, the sand and silt had piled up there, and then it started to grow root structure. So sometimes you'll get a little bit of sand and silt build up, and then the rain will come through and just wash it out. No big deal. Okay, but the root structure had started to build up in the wrong spot. It still wasn't bad. It was still flowing, and that's the reason I never caught it during the summer, because it was still flowing good. But over time it started to grow up, and then now all of a sudden we're starting to get a lot of rains. We even had an unusually dry winter, but now we're starting to get a lot of rains. I think we've had, I'm not sure how many inches we've had, but we've had quite a few inches here. Over 6 inches in just a couple days. I think we've had a lot of rain. We had 4 inches just in a matter of a couple hours a couple days ago, and then we've had mist for days and days and days. We're not complaining about it, okay? But that buildup all of a sudden is coming through. So on rainy days, I like to come out and I like to check places like this. So anyway, long story short, we had vines and everything all built up right there, and then a tree got wedged in there, stopped it up entirely, okay? This side over here, this is not a creek. This right here isn't supposed to even be water. It's just kind of a wet runoff area. All the water from the road and everything will come down and then head down this way. Well, it's all built up in here, and it just wouldn't go past. Well, then this started to route and started to flow down. That's a very, very bad thing. This was very bad, okay? So it's going somewhere. Now, this is a very old culvert. Most likely, there's a hole in this culvert somewhere. It's an old metal culvert. I've already had to replace a couple of these. But anyway, most likely it's a bad culvert. So it's gonna have to get dug up and replaced with a plastic culvert or something, okay? But you don't want to do it in the dead of winter if you don't in the early spring if you don't have to, okay? Even though you got a lot of growing, you've also got a lot of water, okay? You really want to do this in your dry summertime, and you can get a load of, if you're in our area, you can get you a good load of red packing dirt, some really good clay, and just pack it in there. But no, when you don't have to worry about a bunch of rain coming in and washing it out. Okay, you don't want to disrupt any more than you have to. So what I did is I started pulling all my trees and junk and all that stuff and just throwing it over there into that hole. That water was all rushing down there. It's actually rushing slower now than it was. So I started throwing it all over into there until it slowly started stopping, and then started digging all of this out and throwing it over there and building up a little bank area, okay? So now I'm going to start digging all of this out to get this lower and flowing like it should, and throwing it all into that hole right there. This is not going to be a fix, okay? This is going to have to get repaired right here. There's no real way around it, okay? But this is a good start. So you want to just get that back flowing again. Get all of your big roots and stuff out of the way. You don't want to dig underneath that culvert. If you dig underneath it, then you're really going to have a problem. You're going to have that water washing up underneath it. And you'll come out one morning and that whole culvert will be downstream somewhere, okay? So you don't want to do that. You just want to dig out enough to where it's flowing and get it flowing good, and then get a lot of your dirt, get up here on your bank, get some of your good dry dirt and throw it up there, build you a bank, and get that filled back in. But you do want to fill that back in as best you can. I mean, if you had a tractor and you can get it in here, it'd be great, but it's hard to get a tractor back in where this is, all right? So get that filled in as best you can. Otherwise, you're going to start getting waters coming in from other spots, and that's going to make that worse. We still got a pretty good bit of water yet. We're right in the beginning of April here. So there's going to be a decent amount of rain before that stops. And You just want to get a handle on that problem before it becomes a big problem. If we get another flash flood, that's gone, okay? So just watch out for those kind of areas, and anytime you get rain, come out and check your culverts and all your spots. I mean, we got a lot of culverts and creeks and stuff. We got to manage all of that on these places. It's just a lot here. But anyway, I just want to give you a quick rundown, guys, what you can do here, how you can kind of save this as best you can, because like I said, you just don't want to have to dig that up if you don't have to. All right, you do not want to have to dig that up in the dead of right in your rainy season. You want to wait until your summer. Now, how to know whether or not you've got to dig that up? You know, if this wasn't flowing, if there was just a little bit of a trickle to the side or something, it'd still be bad, but there's a chance we could get that patched up and be okay for a few more years. All right, but what you can do is, once this gets to where it stops flowing, you can go to your other side of your culvert. You climb down in there once it's not flowing real bad anymore, all right? And you can look down in there. Sometimes you can see holes, but other times you can see water tunneling down, like it'll be flowing down underneath. And so if there still is water, you'll see it flowing down into there, okay? I don't really want to stick my head in there right now. And there's so much water rushing, you won't really be able to tell. But if you get down there in just the right time, you can get down there and check and make sure that it's not flowing down. Now, sometimes it's not eaten out. Sometimes it's not a problem at all. Sometimes it's just stopped up. And there's a couple things you can do. Sometimes you can just get the water flowing and it'll clean itself out. But if it really can't, a lot of times you can tie a tire, okay, to the end of a cable or rope or something. And you have to get like a long pole or something and stick that cable and manage to get it poked all the way through there. I'm not saying it's easy, but you can get it all the way through there. Once you get it through, you can fasten it onto a tractor and go to pulling, and you can pull that out. A lot of times you can really clean one of those out. Maybe one of these days I'll make a video on it, but I tell you, there's a lot of pretty good videos there on YouTube. You can kind of see what you're doing. But if I ever get ready to do it, I'll be sure to put a video out. So as always, guys, like, subscribe, and hit the bell. That way you don't ever miss anything.